we are in the QBO gym, and this is where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Each month covers a variety of new topics and scenarios, and to make it a little bit easier for you, we break it down into 4 different sections. So if you are looking to work on your bookkeeping skills, this is the place for you. And if you want to do an entire month's worth of these all on your own, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. But let's go ahead and get into today's exercise, which is coming from our November Year 1 cool down section. At the top here is an animated video to give you an understanding of what you, the bookkeeper, will be doing for your client Craig this month. Below that is an interactive pre-assessment quiz that relates to the video up above. Below that are the exercises in this section. And at the bottom here is an optional area where after you have gone through all of the exercises in this section and completed them, you will unlock some sample marketing posts that you can use on your LinkedIn to share with everyone what you have learned so far. So let's dive into today's exercise where we're going to practice reconciling the bank accounts. Go ahead and click on that link to have the exercise come up for you. I have it here on the right side of my screen, so let's read through the scenario. As a bookkeeper, your primary responsibility is to ensure that all financial transactions are correctly categorized and match the flow of money into and out of the bank. You have just received the monthly statement from Craig's bank. Now it's time to confirm that all the transactions have been correctly added to and categorized in QuickBooks Online. To complete this exercise, you will need a copy of Craig's bank statement. Grab a copy from the link below the exercise video. So if I scroll back up here to the top of the gym page, here is the animated video, and below that is this button that says Bank Statements. Go ahead and click on that to have it come up to download for you. And then when you open it up, this is what it will look like and what we will need for this exercise. Now, you're going to need to be in the sample company to do this exercise. If you are not sure how to get into the sample company or get your own free QBOA account, be sure to click on the links in the description. I have the sample company here on the left side of my screen. This is the dashboard and what it will look like once you have signed in. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, as a note here, if you are completing this exercise in the same session of the sample company as previous exercises, you may see some different transactions in your registers, but don't worry about them. Just stick with what is on the bank statement. I am in a brand new session, so if you are in a brand new session, what you see on my screen is what you will see as well. But if you've been doing any of our other exercises in the same session, you may see things a little bit differently, but just stick with what we have here on the statement and you'll be just fine. Now, there are several ways to begin a reconciliation. We're going to use one of them to start. So we're going to click on the gear icon and then select Reconcile. So the gear icon is on the top right corner of the screen. Click on that, and then under Tools, you're going to select Reconcile. Now you're going to get some screens. If this is your first time ever reconciling, you won't see them after that. These are just informational videos that QBO provides. We're going to go ahead and click on Get Started, and then one more is going to pop up like this. Just go ahead and click on Let's Get Reconciled. Once you have reconciled for the first time, you won't ever see those pop-up screens again. Now note that this bank combines both the savings account and also the checking account in one statement. Since it appears the first on the statement, we're going to start with the savings account, but you really could do it in any order. So in here, we're going to, in the account field, select savings. So click into it and select that. Then we want to enter the statement ending balance that's found on the sample bank statement. So if I go back here, and it looks like the ending balance right here is $800 even. So let's go ahead and add that in that field right there. For the statement ending date, in a real life scenario, you would use the ending date from the bank statement. But for the purpose of this exercise, we're just going to type a lowercase t to enter today's date. And the reason we do that is because the sample company is always changing their dates. As you can see on our sample bank statement, we don't have something that is very specific here as it relates to a date. So we try to use more general dates as much as possible. So for this, we're going to use today. So click into that box, type a lowercase t, and you will get today's date. And then we're going to click on the green Start Reconciling button. So go ahead and do that. And here you go. This is the screen that we are looking at. If you happen to get any pop-ups, just go ahead and click out of them. Now, before moving on to reconciling, let's take a quick moment to review what's on the screen. Now, just note that the numbers in the screenshot below down here may not reflect what is may not reflect this account or what is going on in this exercise. If you just take a look at my screen, though, then you'll know exactly what we're talking about. So the first thing here is the beginning balance, which is right here. This is the ending balance from the last time that you reconciled. It cannot be changed. The statement ending balance is from the bank statement, which we just entered on the previous screen. Now, if for whatever reason you notice that the statement ending balance or the statement ending date are incorrect, you can go ahead and click on Edit Info in order to make adjustments. Now, next to each transaction is going to be a circle right here. This will have a blue check mark if the transaction has already been marked cleared, kind of similar to how you process the bank feeds. So if you click on this circle right here, it means that you have found this particular transaction here on the bank statement and it matches, and so you've clicked on that circle. Now, when a transaction is checked, it will be added to the total payments and deposits, depending on which one it is. So for this instance, we see here that the deposit is 200, so it has moved up here. I'm going to uncheck this circle for a moment. Now the cleared balance that we see right here is the beginning balance minus the combination of the payments and deposits. Finally, the difference here is the statement ending balance minus the cleared balance equals the difference. The goal here of reconciling is to check off all the transactions here on the bank statement so that the difference ends up being zero. That is how you know that you have reconciled everything properly, and it's very satisfying as a bookkeeper to see that zero there. Now, one final note here that the transactions currently showing are only those dated on or before the statement ending date. You can turn off this filter by clicking on the X right here where it says statement ending date. You can click that, and you may need to do this if you have any transactions that were added with an incorrect date. This is often referred as hidden or rogue transactions. Now, in the remaining steps of this exercise, you are going to complete the reconciliation by checking each transaction off until the difference ends up being zero. If you've already checked on any of the checkboxes or circles, just go ahead and click it off so that we can go through the steps together. All right, so the savings account, when starting to reconcile, you may need to close several navigational pop-ups. Those were the ones that were up here. If you haven't already, go ahead and click out of them. Now, currently, there is only one savings transaction, and luckily, it matches the one that is here on the bank statement. So there's that $200 deposit. So we can go ahead and click on the circle to mark this transaction reconciled. And that's it for the savings account. We've done everything that we need. We could see that the difference is showing as zero. So we're going to go ahead and click on the Finish Now button on the top right corner. And then we can click on done. Now, before I do, just as a note here, in a real life scenario, you would have the opportunity to attach the statement. Since this bank provides one statement for both the checking and the savings account, you could attach it to each reconciliation or just to the checking account, since that is the one that has the bulk of the transactions. So it's not a feature here in the sample company, but there would be a button here that says attach statement that you could go ahead and attach the statement here at this point. So let's go ahead and click on the green done button to get out of this. And we have reconciled now the savings account. Now let's go ahead and turn our attention to the checking account. So in the account field, we're going to change this to checking. So click the down arrow, select checking. We're going to enter the statement, statement ending balance, found on the sample bank statement. So if we go in here, it looks like the ending balance is $4,285.62. So let's go ahead and type that in there. 42.85.62, 42.85.62. Great. And then again, in this statement ending date, we're going to go ahead and just type lowercase t for today's date for the purpose of this exercise. Of course, in real life, you would want to make sure that it's whatever date here is matching the one that shows up here on the bank statement. So let's go ahead and start reconciling by clicking on that green button. Now, before we start reconciling, you may need to close out some navigational pop-ups, even though we just did it in this savings account. So if you get them, just go ahead and click out of them. Now we're going to use the sample bank statement to check off as many transactions as we can. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to scroll over so that you can see all of my circles, and let's just go through it one by one. So we have this first debit for Robertson and Associates for $300. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we have a deposit here for $175. So go ahead and click on that circle next to that. Then we have another debit for Robertson and Associates for $250. So let's go ahead and do that. Then we have another one for Board of Equalization for $38.50. So let's do that. There's two of them here. One is for 50 cents and one ends in 40 cents. Make sure you click on the one that ends in 50 cents right here. Then we have check number 12 for $55. So let's take a look at that. Check number 12 right here for $55. Click on that circle. A debit for Tanya's Nursery for $89.89. So let's look at that. Now this says $89.09. It's not exactly the same, so let's hold off on this one. We'll come back to it in a moment. Let's go through the rest of them, and then we can swing back to that one. So we have a Hicks Hardware one for $250. So let's find that. $250 for Hicks Hardware right there. Then we have another one for Tanya's Nursery for $108.09. So let's look for that. Here it is right here. Go ahead and click on that circle. Then we have a deposit for Kate Wayland for $225. So here it is right there. Go ahead and click on that circle. Then we have another deposited check for $105. So that happens to be under the one for Kate from Kate Wayland. So go ahead and click on that. That's for Amy's Bird Sanctuary. Then we have a bunch of debit transactions here. Hicks Hardware for $24.36. So that is right here. Go ahead and click on that circle. And then we have one here for Squeaky Clean Car Wash for $19.99. That happens to be the next one underneath there. Go ahead and click on that. Now, as a note here, I happen to know that there is another one here for Squeaky Clean Car Wash. Now, we're only going to be clicking on the one right here. There may be another one on the bank statement, but just know in a real life scenario, if you happen to have transactions that are from the same vendor for the same exact amounts, and they are both legitimate transactions, be sure to check the date that is showing here to match the one that is on the bank statement. It's very important that you match the correct one. So just keep that in mind as we're going through this. All right, so then we have Bob's Burger Joint for $5.66, which is the next one there. Then we have another one. Oh, this is for the Arizona Department of Revenue. This is also a sales tax payment, and this one is for the $38.40. So if you scroll back up towards the top, that is this one right here. Click on that circle. Then we have check number 69 for $100. So let's see where that one might be. Scroll down, that's this one right here. It doesn't say check 69, but it does say $100, and I don't believe that there is another one on here for that. So I'm going to say safely assume that this is the correct one. Always be sure to check in real life if you have any kind of doubt that it is the correct one. All right, so then we have Chin's Gas and Oil for $52.14, which is right here. Then we have Hall Properties for $900. So that happens to be the next one down here. So click on that circle. And as a note here, I believe there is another $900 transaction. This is for a MasterCard. This is why it's really important to be checking with the payee, the vendor or the customer to see that you are matching the correct amount, because you may have multiple transactions with the same amount. And so you want to make sure that you are matching the one that is here with the one that is on the statement. All right, so let's keep going. There's a deposit check for $694. So that's this one from Cool Cars. Then we have check number 2 for $18.08. So let's see if we can find that. That's Mahoney Mugs right there. Go ahead and click on that circle. Then we have another debit from for Hicks Hardware for $215.66, which is the next one on the list. Go ahead and click on that. Deposited check for $337.50. That's the next one from Dylan. Then we have a debit from Bob's Burger Joint for $3.86. So that is the next one here. Let's go ahead and click on that circle. And then we have a deposited check for $140. So let's see where that is. Deposited check for $140. I don't see it here right now. So we'll come back to this one in a moment. And then we have a deposit for cash for $78.75. So let's see if we can find that. And it is not showing here on this list. So with that, we have a couple of transactions that we need to review. Be sure to confirm that the difference of $128.86 is what is showing on your screen before going to the next step. All right, so now let's take a look at some of the transactions that didn't match. Notice that there are some checks that were written but didn't show up in the bank feed. This isn't unusual. People frequently take a while to cash checks. What is slightly odd, though, is the fact that Chin's Gas and Oil doesn't seem to have cashed any yet. This is something worth following up on, especially if the outstanding checks are getting quite old. Next, we're going to take a look at Tanya's Nursery. The transaction in QBO is for $89.09 right here, but the bank transaction said that it was $89.89. It looks like someone may have entered the expense incorrectly. This is very easy to do. So when faced with a discrepancy like this, the bank is always correct. So you'll need to change the transaction in QBO. So luckily, this is also easy to do. So we're going to click anywhere on the Tanya's Nursery transaction. So go ahead and do that to have have it expanded. And then we're going to change the amount to $89.89. And then we're going to click on the green Save button. And now that that one has been updated, we're going to go ahead and click on the circle right next to it. And now we have a difference showing of $218.75. Now it's also curious that the payment received from Freeman Sporting Goods has not cleared. Find out more about this transaction. So we're going to click anywhere on that transaction, which is this one right here for $86.40. And then we're going to click on Edit so that we can take a look at this transaction. Now, once it comes up, as you can see, the received payment was recorded as being deposited directly into the checking account. You look in the drawer where Craig keeps the checks to take to the bank, and sure enough, the check is waiting there to be deposited. So again, this is an easy fix. Rather than it going directly to this to the checking account, we want to change the selection to undeposited funds. And this is just the holding account until those checks physically make their way into the bank. So click the down arrow and then go ahead and select undeposited funds, and then click on Save and Close on the bottom right corner. You're going to receive a warning that the transaction is linked to others. It's linking to the original invoice, which hasn't changed, so it's okay to proceed. Go ahead and click on the green Yes button, and that has been taken care of. Now, at this point, all that's left are the last two deposits that we see here, this deposited check and deposited cash. You see that the difference shows as $218.75, and there is a deposit for that amount. However, it's not showing on the bank statement. So if you get these pop-ups, just go ahead and click out of them. Once again, here is that difference. And if I scroll down here, a little bit more. Here is a deposit for $218.75. So let's investigate this a little bit further by clicking on that transaction to open it up. And then we're going to click on Edit. And once it comes up for us, here you can see that this deposit consists of a cash payment from Pies Cakes and a payment from Diego Rodriguez, likely a check since that's what it says on the bank statement. It seems that the bank recorded these as two separate deposits. The absolutely correct way to fix this would be to edit this bank deposit or record to just be one of them, and then create another bank deposit transaction on the same date for the other. While technically correct, that level of precision would be a bit of overkill. For the purpose of this exercise, we're just going to take the simplest route and reconcile the lumped deposit that appears in QBO. So let's go ahead and click on the X out of that. And then if you get more pop-ups, just go ahead and click out of them. And then we're going to go ahead and click on the circle next to $218.75. So scroll to that. There it is right there. Go ahead and click on that, and you'll notice that as soon as you do, that the difference has now changed to 0. So we have reconciled the checking account. You can go ahead and click on the Finish Now button on the top right corner. And the credit card statements typically come on a different schedule from bank deposit or from bank statements, and so you're finished with reconciling for the day. Just go ahead and click on the green Done button. And that's it. That is how you would reconcile the bank accounts. Now, if you like this exercise and you'd like to do more like it, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. We're going to continue on in the cool down section with our next exercise where we practice running reports. And I will see you in the next video.